Hi, this is Zach here with the Bulletin Board Heroes here at Zach's Traders Cafe for Thursday, the 24th of April. Starting off with the FTSE 100, which is sandwiched between the rising 200-day line rather at 83.30, and also the 50-day line there up to 85.20 is the line of resistance from last month, shadowing the 50-day line, and that's the range we're expecting. RSI in the low 50s, so we're half full rather than half empty. And looking, obviously, war negotiations looking for this market to at least have a tickle of that 50-day line, even if it then comes back after that. End of day close back below the 200-day moving average, and we could be looking at the floor of that rising trend channel from the end of 2023 at 82.10, but that's the worst that we're looking for at the moment. Moving on to the DAX, and here it's a question of holding yesterday's gains. I suppose so far it's done quite well, actually. It's a Bear Trap Island reversal, so gapping down on the 4th of April and then gapping up twice since then. So that is a strong setup. We've got the 50-day line there as resistance at 22,200, and I suppose the floor of the gap there, 21,300. The notional support, ideally we don't go below that. RSI at 52 as well. So hopefully there's a bit of momentum at least to nudge that 50-day line, which was also the pre-tariff breakdown support zone at 22,200. Moving along to the Dow, and here, once again, we're in the resistance zone. We had those three failures around 40,800, so that's the level to break above that, which we might actually gap through if the news was appropriate. We'd be looking for the 200-day line, 42,100. Below it, hoping that the floor of the latest gap at 39,300 would act as support, but rather ominously still, the RSI still below neutral 50 at just under 45. We haven't been above neutral 50 since the 20th of February, so perhaps 2 months is a long time for that kind of situation. Moving on to Bitcoin, which has benefited from the collapse of the dollar. We're back above 90,000. We're above the old broken support area, and we're above the 200-day line at 88,000. Still looking for the 100,000 level, even though you can see that we have actually failed at March resistance towards 95,000, and we're hoping that the current consolidation is a mid-move consolidation ahead of a move to 100 or 100,000. Moving along to gold, where the rug was pulled rather unceremoniously. Obviously, something that has been, would have been rather painful for people, but we have landed in a reasonable place, basically finding support above the 32.50 resistance from earlier this month, and also above the floor of that rising trend channel, which I will adjust now so that it makes it look rather more clear. We do have a steep rising trend channel there from March. Floor of the channel there around the 3,200 level, so above that we are still looking for a retest of the best levels through 3,400, and perhaps as a best case scenario, probably accompanied by nuclear war, up to 3,800 by the end of next month, if we remain above the current floor of that channel towards the 3,200 zone. In fact, it's rising by the day. I have to look at pound dollar as well, because we had a little bull trap through $1.33. We're now right there, and still looking for progress. As I said previously, there's not really much in the way of resistance between 133 and the old peaks back in 2021 at $1.40. So let's see if after a bit of taking up of the slack, we head up to that destination. What's interesting at the moment, though, is that the initial resistance for April was $1.32. So it looks like a decent risk-reward situation, risking a cent for up to 7 or 8 cents. Onto the stocks, and starting with Botswana, which I think somebody was DM'd me about. Here you can see that we've managed to push through the 50-day line, find support there at 0.11. Above that, we're looking for the 200-day moving average as high as 0.21 by the end of next month. A bit of a punchy call there, but we do have a nice RSI configuration, so lower lows for the start of April, but an uptrend line then in the RSI window, which hopefully will power this market towards that 0.21 level while we're above the 50-day line and 0.11. lap of honour here on the Catenai front, and very happy with that. In fact, what happened yesterday was that we did actually go on the wrong side of the 0.5 level, which was slightly disappointing, but obviously not surprising in current markets. So that was a bit below the old the top of the old gap there, but did suggest that above 0.5 we could still retest the best levels, and we're sort of halfway between 0.5 and the best levels through 0.85. So let's see if I have one more push for Catenai through towards 0.85. You can see that we've also had a golden cross between the 50 and 200-day lines today, and the shares celebrating by being up a third so far. Moving along to rather obscure situation, Caledonian Holdings, but here, broadening triangle base, we punctured recent resistance at 0.03. Above that, looking for up to 0.08 by the end of next month, especially if we can stay above that 0.03 area. Moving on to one of the highlights of recent days, which has been Fragrant Prosperity. I was looking for 1.45, and obviously the shares have blown the doors off there. Nothing really now on the chart between 1.45 and the resistance on the way down, which was 2.8 pence. So hopefully looking for that, if you're an optimist, looking for that by the end of next month or even sooner, while we're above the 1.4 zone. You can see that today so far in the sport it's been well above that at 1.6 plus. So let's see if Fragrant can step up to the plate. Next up is Fiinu, which seems to be trying to revive itself within this broadening triangle. It bounced off the floor of that triangle there around 6 pence. Looking for an end-of-day close through the problematic 8.5 pence area. Maybe say that 9 pence would do the trick, but if we can get through 9 pence, a retest of the 14 to 15 pence area seems more than likely. Decent performance from GreenRoc and another stock which has exceeded the resistance line targets. In this case, it was around the 2.4 pence level. Above 2.4, we are able to pick the next level up, which should be towards the 3.5 pence level, as that was the old support on the way down. And I will add that to the chart and see if we can get to that area by the end of next month. Ideally, we stay on the right side of yesterday's low around the 2.16 level. Stock which continues to impress after the turnaround that we had at the beginning of February is Metals One. Good news today regarding acquisition of uranium assets. Top of the channel here now up to 33 pence. Looking at that by the end of next month, while we remain above that rising 50-day moving average around 11 pence. On to Mosman, where seems that there's excitement in the air here. We've got a resistance line, though, at 0.045. Want to see an end-of-day close above that to then open up the big target there, 0.08, maybe by the end of next month, given the lay of the land in terms of potential news flow by then. On to Panthera, which has a sort of stealth rally going on. Those are the ones that people can miss. We were previously looking for 18 pence while we were above the 13 pence zone, and that looks as though that will be delivered relatively soon. If you're a fan of the shares and looking for greater glory, then probably the upper parallel of that rising trend channel heading for up to 24 pence would be the place to look out for. Maybe we get to that by the end of next month, while we're above the 12 or 13 pence area. See if this can be another situation which over-delivers on the upside. Premier African had a big spike yesterday, which was rather exciting as it blew out the optimistic red line target that we had there. I think we were looking for up to 007. We're now back in a range between the 200-day line at 004 and 007. So still assuming that we'll get up to or hold 007 while there's no fundraise from the company, which I think there hasn't been one for a little while. The beginning of last month, which is for this company an eon in terms of having no fundraisers. Moving along to the last two. The first one is Seeen, which very happy to see it's finally delivering on the upside in terms of the share price. It's been a long, it's obviously a slow mover. Top of the range and top of the channel there up to 7.5 pence, which we're looking for by the end of next month. I think the market cap there, 7 million, so I suppose that would give it a market cap closer to 10 million. Finishing off with the final stock, which has broken all the targets here. In this case, it's a team, and I think the third target beaten there at 30 pence, which shares absolutely on fire at the moment. Recent resistance on the way down at 40 pence, so that's what we're looking for, maybe as a final destination over the near term, maybe 42 pence actually, for the shares, and looking for that maybe by the end of next month, while we remain above the previous target there at 25 pence. That's it for me today. More updates tomorrow.